Network categories define the geographical layout of our networks. Because networks can be as small as a few computers in one room or as large as two computers connecting over several thousand miles that could be spanning all over the globe, we have these individual categories that we can place our networks into. Our first network category is our local area network. Now, a local area network is going to be defined usually to one building. So we'll have several computers in this example on several floors of building 1. There will usually be a single management entity that will control all of the components in building 1. So these are generally fairly small networks. And also, the type of interconnecting devices such as routers and switches will be fairly inexpensive. Once we move to a campus area network, our network gets a little bit larger. Now we're moving between two buildings, such as the management building and the sales building. We can define a campus area network by a network that spans a small area and does not leave the land that is owned by that organizational entity. So a college, for example, might own 300 acres of land, and any of the buildings that are internetworked on that college campus would be considered a campus area network. A metropolitan area network can span up to 30 miles. Now in this example, we have a building in North Miami and a building in South Miami. These computers are connecting together via a microwave connection. Now I have it set up this way because there are only a few different types of network media that will allow you to span this great of a distance. As a matter of fact, the reason the metropolitan area network is limited to 30 miles is because there's only one type of network media capable, and that's single mode fiber. The real key characteristic to remember about a metropolitan area network is that we're always going to be using data lines and media that we own, but our data might be passing over land that we do not. So in this example, it'd be pretty tough for us to run a cable from North Miami to South Miami. But because we're using these microwave dishes to transmit our data, we're still using our own technology. So at this point, we're still working under a single management entity, but there may be multiple teams at play. Finally, the wide area network, which is the largest of all of our network categories. In a wide area network, our data will travel from a client computer, usually through a router, over the internet. Now this is the key point. As we travel over the internet, we're moving over data lines that do not belong to us. These are usually considered leased lines or dedicated lines. In a leased line environment, we've actually gone to an internet service provider or an ISP and rented bandwidth on their media. If we have a dedicated line, that just means that we have a guaranteed information rate. So as this data passes over the internet on the lines that we don't own, it ultimately reaches its destination on the other side. The technology and the cost associated with wide area networks often makes them difficult or very expensive. So as our networks get larger and larger, they get more expensive and more complicated. So this should give you an idea about our different network categories. In our next chapter, we'll talk about network connectivity.